This is a Sandy Boy Productions podcast.
Welcome to Finish Lines and Milestones, a podcast to celebrate everyday runners. I'm your host, Allie Bretnacher, and if you run, you're a runner, and every runner has a story. Join me each week as I share these stories and we celebrate crossing finish lines and milestones together. This week, I've got a few updates for you on the personal side, so bear with me, they're good. First of all, I just got back from Chicago, where I got to see Lady Gaga in concert. Now, this might not be a big deal to many of you listening, but for me, I've been listening to her music for 20 years, and it was a long time coming. Amazing, amazing show. And on the way back, I got a chance to stop at, if you're from Indiana, you might know this, but Albanese Gummy Bears. Candy is made in Indiana, and so the factory is on the way to and from Chicago. And I've never, ever taken the time to stop there, but I did on my way home today. And I also stopped at Fair Oaks Farms, which I usually do because I drive an electric vehicle. So to get to Chicago, I usually have to charge for a few minutes. But on the way back, I decided that I would do my run around Fair Oaks Farms. And it surprised me when I found a sunflower field to run through. So it was just delightful. So the past couple days have just been incredible. Also, Indy is such a small, big town. I ran into Jessie Howell, who owns Broader Pole CrossFit, and my husband and I used to go to her gym, her and her husband's gym, for a while when we lived in Broader Pole. So I got to see Jessie. She is one of the biggest Lady Gaga fans on the planet. So that was super fun. So I am just still on a huge high. And I'm going to carry that with me into my Friday long run tomorrow, which is, quotes, just 15 miles. Too funny. But that's how it feels when you're marathon training. So it's all relative. I also want to announce the launch of Some Good News Running Edition. This is so funny. If you're not familiar, John Krasinski, the actor, did Some Good News, or SGN, during the pandemic to share good news since it seemed like all we had was bad news. I just started feeling that way recently. And so I thought that I would bring it back or have a play on what he used to do. And so I made a reel of Some Good News Running Edition. And I would just love to continue sharing good news. So if you hit a PR, if you ran your first mile, whatever it might be, some good news, running related, share it with me. And I want to keep sharing that with others because we need more good news. I know that I'm not alone in feeling that way. Also, some good news. We have the Apex Benefits Monumental Kids 5K coming up on Saturday, the 20th, which will be tomorrow if you're listening to this episode when it comes out. We are introducing Torchy, the Indy Monumental's new mascot. So stay tuned. I'm going to hang out with Torchy for the day and shoot some content, and that's going to be super fun. I can't wait to see how the kids react to Torchy. Oh, and public registration is still available for $30 if you would like to get your kiddo registered. Spots are limited, but it's an outstanding event. Couldn't recommend it more. It's my favorite. And it ends on Lucas Oil's field. So can't wait for that. Mill Race is Saturday, September 27th in Southern Indiana. I bring that up because we talk about it in today's episode. My guest this week is Joel Sauer, and Joel is a big part of the Mill Race that's happening. I've actually never done that race, but I hope to at some point. I've heard nothing but great things. And then last but not least, the Indy Half is celebrating 30 years on Saturday, October 4th. I'm going to have a very casual but very, very fun shakeout run, or shake it off shakeout run, on October 3rd because Taylor Swift's 12th album comes out. So whether or not that means anything to you, if you'd like to spend a few miles with me, there will be details to that in the show notes here and on my Instagram profile. So check that out. Come celebrate the 30th year of the Indy Half if you are local to Indy. The big reason for my guest today is he is the one who founded this race 30 years ago. And so in celebration of that 30th year, I wanted to bring on Joel Sauer to talk about how this happened, how he ended up founding what used to be a full marathon as well in his hometown of Indianapolis. And this particular race is in Lawrence at Fort Bend. And it's just a beautiful, incredible race. So we talk about the origin story of that, but we get to know Joel, kind of how he got into running by way of triathlon, how he worked at Eli Lilly for quite some time, how he has 5 kids, how he started the race when he had I think it was 2 kids, and then one of his kids came early, like 2 weeks before the race, the first one ever. Just crazy stories. He ended up unintentionally qualifying for the 100th running of the Boston Marathon, which he completed. And we also talk about adventure racing, which is such a cool thing that I've never heard of. I thought about like Spartan races with obstacles and stuff, but no, this is different than that. So that's a really cool hobby. Joel tries to find something once a year to really challenge himself. And he also just so happened to complete an Ironman full triathlon on a whim. So he tells that story towards the end, which leads me to believe that Joel is going to be doing a quote unquote official Ironman again here in the future. He has already done several of those, so we touch on that too. There's just so much to cover. Joel is an incredible human, such an important part of the Indianapolis running community in particular. So if you haven't signed up for the 30th running of Fort Bend, please go do that. It's going to be so much fun. And without further ado, I would love to introduce you to Joel Sauer. Welcome to Joel Sauer, who has never been on a podcast.
Right, never.
It's my favorite. I mean, normally people have not been on a podcast who are on the show because I love to interview everyday runners, not pros. But I'm surprised you haven't because you've been doing this for a really, really long time.
I have, yeah.
And I don't mean that to call you old.
Well, I'm not young anymore, so.
But this year, you get to celebrate the 30th year of the Indy Half at Fort Bend.
That's right. And I'm 60, so it's now half my life.
Half your life given to this race.
That's right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an incredible race. I'm so excited. And this morning, as we're recording this, it's like fake fall in Indiana.
It's a beautiful day. Yeah, it's cool. This would be a perfect race day.
I was just going to say, I was like, Joel, if you could just put in a request for this to be the race temps, that would be ideal.
Yes.
So I'm really excited to get to know you and hear kind of the story behind how it all started. But I think before we get there, we should go to the first half of your life.
Okay.
And I would love to hear a little bit more about kind of how you found sports.
Yeah. I was never really super athletic. I didn't play sports in high school. Got cut from the 8th grade baseball team, 8th grade basketball team, and the 9th grade baseball team. So that pretty much ended my hopes.
Wait, all three?
Well,
okay,
8th grade basketball, 9th grade baseball.
Okay.
So that ended my dreams of being the next Johnny Bench.
I don't know who that is.
He was a catcher for the Cincinnati Reds.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
And so then I rode my bike everywhere as a kid, and really running was, I got into running because I first got into triathlons. And so I grew up swimming. Okay. And I loved riding my bike everywhere. When I was like 13, 14, 15, me and my buddies would jump on our bikes and go on 25 or 50-mile bike rides, which at that age, that's pretty far.
Yeah, wait, how old were you when you
I was
did
like
that?
in my early teens.
Wow.
So we would just go out in the country and ride around and go on these rides. John
Was it
Williams
here?
and Mark Yako. Yeah, we'd ride out like past Geist and just go riding.
Wow.
We were all in Boy Scouts, and there was a cycling merit badge, and you had to go on so many 25-mile bike rides, and then you had to do a 50-miler. And so anyway, loved riding my bike. I swam. I didn't like swim in high school or anything. I wasn't that good, but I swam on like a summer swim team. So I won't say fast, but I was a strong swimmer, biked a lot. And so when I was, I don't know, I think I was 19 or 20, I heard about the Jordan YMC triathlon. It was like this new sport. And so I'm like, oh, that sounds fun. So I did it, and I did okay.
Did you win or something?
Oh, no.
I was going to say, because sometimes people are like, oh, and then I did it. And they're like,
no,
okay.
I didn't win or anything.
Okay.
But I finished, I mean, there was only like 150 people in it or 100 people in it or something. But I was like 12th or something like that.
Geez, okay, well.
And I wasn't a runner. I never ran. And so it's like swim, bike, and then got through the run. and I realized I'm pretty mediocre at all three, but for whatever reason, I was able to put them all together. And so the next year, I probably did like 5 or 6 triathlons. And I was just getting killed in the run. And so I'm like, I've got to start running. You know, I'm tired of getting passed by a bunch of people on the run. Yeah. So that's kind of when I started running, was to strengthen up that leg of the triathlon.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. A lot of triathletes come in as runners.
Right.
and they're not very good swimmers.
That's me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was the opposite. I was very comfortable in the swim and on the bike, but then I was a pretty weak runner. So then I just started running and to balance it out. So that's how I started running.
That's so crazy, Joel. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. And then as life went on and things got busy and I got married and started having kids, and I have 5 kids. So
I saw that. I was like, oh my gosh, Joel, basketball team.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Yeah.
So in life, what I found is you always have to find a pool somewhere, or you have to carry a bike around, or you can just have your running shoes and go running anywhere. And so kind of as a staple, as part of my fitness, that's running's just been great, because if I go on a business trip or, all year round, I could run. And so I've been running ever since.
Wow. Okay. So at 19, you said 19 was when you found triathlon?
Yeah.
And so were you in college at that time?
Yeah. So I had just finished my freshman year in college.
Okay. Where'd you go to undergrad?
Bradley University in Peoria, Illinois.
Okay.
So I went to Bradley. I was an engineering student. I got my degree in civil engineering. So yeah, I went after my freshman year. I came back and I was a lifeguard. So I worked at a pool. And I heard about this race, and there was this guy that would come to the pool. He's a couple years older than me, but he'd come and swim laps. And I found out that he had done a triathlon the year before. And so I was just like, oh, that's so cool. So I'm asking all these questions. So I got the nerve up to enter, and that was that first one I did. I only did one that year. But then when I went back to college, I entered a road race because I was like, oh, they have these? I'd never even heard of them before. I mean, that's how much I wasn't in the running community. So it's like, well, it's not a triathlon, but it's a run, and you run on the roads, and there's
just run.
It's organized, and you get a bib. And so I did like a 4-mile run, which to me was like, oh, this is huge, a 4-mile road race. So that was my first road race. It was in Peoria, and then that summer when I came home and I was lifeguarding again, that's when I started doing, like I said, I started doing more runs, and I did probably 5 or 6 triathlons that year with this other guy that I'd met the summer before. So we were like triathlon buddies, and we'd train together and race together. And he was a better runner. I was a better swimmer than him. He was a better runner than me, and we were very even on the bike. And so it was fun because I would always be ahead of him, and then it was a matter of, was I going to be able to hold him off on the run? So I mean, we were very, very evenly matched overall. So it was,
that's fun.
But it was, I mean, we were really good friends, so it wasn't like this stressful or hardcore competition. We were like, rooting each other on. But it was fun because I knew if I slowed down, Troy was going to catch me.
Exactly. That's so nice, actually. Like, what great motivation. And for him, he's like, I'm going to go get
That's
Joel.
Right. I was out there for him to go for, and then, and then I knew
he's chasing you down.
I knew I couldn't slow down because he would pass me.
That's pretty cool.
So it was fun. Yeah.
What about your biking buddies that you had for Boy Scouts that you were riding with? Did you rope them into triathlons at all?
Well, one I kind of lost track of. We went to different high schools, but the other one, still friends today. And as a matter of fact, Saturday, which is 2 days ago, he did a triathlon.
There we go.
I wasn't able to do it, but yeah. So he still does a couple, every year,
cool.
And I still try to. I haven't done a triathlon in a while, a formal one, but I still do I still swim, bike, and run. I just haven't entered a race in a while, so.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, and was that triathlon this weekend? Was that Zionsville?
No, it was at Eagle Creek.
Oh, one of the
Don Carr puts on like a series. It was the third of the series.
Are they the sprint tries?
Yes.
Okay, because that's the only triathlon I've done here in this area.
Okay. Is
one of the sprints, and it's been over a decade. So, yeah, I'm scared.
It's the thing I didn't realize at the time. I mean, I've been interested in the sport for 40 years now.
Right.
If you think about it, if I was 20 and now I'm 60.
Yeah.
But what I didn't understand at the time that now I look back and go, wow, is Indianapolis was centrally located to so many races. I mean, we had sprint races, we had Olympic distance, we even had the Muncie Endurathon, which is an hour half Ironman. And then I realized later in life, there's people who travel 4 or 5 hours just to do a triathlon. And I had like a dozen of them within an hour of my home. And maybe that's why I was so into it. And there's so many triathletes around here, is just because there's so many opportunities around here, especially early in the sport. Like in the 80s and early 90s, we just had a ton of opportunities, and other people didn't. They'd be, why are people coming in from Ohio to do the Shelbyville triathlon? You know, it's a short race. It's like, oh, because they don't have one.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like if they want to do one, they got to drive an hour and a half, 2 hours to do one. So anyway, that probably helped. You know, in the early days.
And which high school did you go to?
I went to North Central.
North Central. Okay.
Yeah.
I can't remember if you said that or not. So
I didn't.
For anybody who's local and in the area, North Central. Okay. And then Bradley. How did you end up going to school in Illinois?
Because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was like engineering or accounting. And it's like, well, Indiana Business School or Purdue Engineering School.
Right.
And so, but I didn't want to make a choice and then be at the wrong school. And so I just started, you know, back in those days, you'd get college mail. Now everything's on the internet.
Right.
But back then, and so I probably had a stack of mail this high, you know, of all the, you know, a ton of schools. Oh, come to our school. So I actually was probably one of the few kids who actually went through all that. And it came down to, I don't know, 2 or 3 schools that had a decent engineering program and business school. I mean, Purdue does, but when you're a kid, you just think of Purdue as engineering. I didn't realize how good of a business school they had at the time. But anyway, it all worked out.
Yes.
So Bradley had a good engineering school and business school. So I went there kind of starting in engineering. But if I don't like it, I'll switch to business. But it's like, no, I liked it. So
there you go.
So, yeah, I ended up at Bradley. When my youngest son went on his college visits, he's out now, 6 years ago, he was interested in, he was in engineering. He went into engineering. But we went to Notre Dame, Bradley, Purdue. I'm trying to think of where else we went. Rose-Hulman. And he ended up going to Purdue. But I went on those trips with him. And when I went back to Bradley, I was like, I really liked it. I made a good decision. So it was kind of fun that, 30 years later, if I had to make the decision again, I probably would have gone to Bradley again it was a smaller school. It was like...
Yeah, I was going to ask you how many.
It was like 5,000 total.
It's like Carmel High School.
Yeah, like Carmel High School right across the street here. So, Purdue's huge. But so I was like, okay. Because over the years, I asked myself, why did I go to Bradley? Kind of like you just asked me. And it's been so long. I'm like, why did I go to Bradley? And then so when I went on this, when I went on these campus tours, it's like they were all good schools. But I was like, I really liked Bradley.
Yeah.
So anyway, it kind of confirmed my decision was a decent one. And you go to college to try to get a job. And when I graduated from Bradley, I got a job at Eli Lilly and Company. So I'm like, all right, it did what it was supposed to do.
That's what I was supposed to do.
Got me a job.
Yeah.
And got me a job in Indianapolis, a good job. So it did what it was supposed to do, and I had a good experience there. So.
That's good. And so do you have any siblings, Joel?
Yeah, I have a brother and a sister.
Okay.
So I'm the youngest of 3.
You're the youngest of 3.
Yeah.
And so did they go to college? And where did they go?
My sister went to Butler.
Okay.
And my brother went to Berkeley, and I went to Bradley.
Okay.
So it was Butler, Berkeley, Bradley.
Whoa, yeah, there you go.
He went to Berkeley in Boston, not California.
Okay, I was just going to ask you where it was, and I was like, that's a dumb question. But
No,
it's California. They have a campus in Boston.
It's different schools. So Berkeley Cal is somewhat well known. Berkeley in Boston is a totally different school, and it's a music school. Okay. So he went to he studied music and music production in Boston.
Cool. Are you musical?
I was in a swing choir in high school.
Okay.
And that's about where it ended.
Oh, that's funny. Okay. Yeah, it's always so interesting when siblings go to different schools. That's how my family was, actually. Yeah. I'm the oldest of 3 girls.
Okay.
We all went to different high schools and all different colleges, which is just
different
kind of
high schools.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which was just kind of weird. I went to public school. I went to Westfield High School here.
Okay.
My parents regretted that. They wish they would have sent me where I would have been challenged a little more. So my sister went to Buff as a result.
Okay.
And then Garin, which is a Catholic high school, opened right when my sister was getting ready to go to high school. And so she went there.
Yeah.
And so it just kind of ended up, that's how it was. And then we all went to different colleges. And
so how far apart were you guys?
Each a couple years apart. So, I mean, not like far apart where, we would all have been in school together at certain times. But
so we were all 1 year apart. So
1 year apart?
My sophomore year, my sister was a senior, my brother was a junior, and I was a sophomore. So
wow, okay.
And back then it was, I don't know what it is now, but back then it was a 3-year school. 9th graders went to junior high. So
interesting.
I know it turned into a 4-year school. I don't know if it still is or if they went back to 3 years. I don't know. What is Carmel? Is Carmel a 4-year school?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. Well, they have a whole separate freshman campus because they have so many kids.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
But, so we were all in high school together, and my brother and sister, they were really really good musicians. And so I'm like following up in their footsteps. And I just didn't have the interest. I mean, we had like a swing choir called Counterpoints.
What is swing choir? What does swing mean?
Like back then, it was like doing show tunes, like
Okay.
Broadway musical type music,
Okay.
as opposed to more just standing and singing. So you're singing and dancing as if you're in a musical.
Okay. Maybe they call that show choir
Show
now?
choir.
Okay.
Yeah, show choir.
Okay,
Yep.
got it.
I think back in the day it was called swing choir. Now it's more show choir.
Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But so I did that, and it was a ton of fun. But once that was over, I was kind of done with.
You're like, I'm going to let my siblings just go that route. They've got it taken care of.
Yeah, my brain was more, okay, I'm going to do the engineering thing and not so much the art side of things.
Right. And what about your parents? Were they kind of a balance of art and engineering?
My mom loved all things arts. So, and my dad, he was probably more the logical. He wasn't an engineer, but he could have been.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Got it.
So got a little bit from both of them.
Yep. And so for civil, what is civil engineering?
Think of the word civilization. So civil engineering is like roads and bridges and building structures. My emphasis was structural engineering, so building stuff with steel, buildings and things like that. And then things like wastewater treatment plants and environmental engineering and surveying and transportation roads and all that. So it's civilization, I guess.
That's a good way to
what are
put
things? That's how I can describe it. Where, mechanical and electrical are they're different types of systems. But anyway.
Yeah. So then you got a job at Lilly, though. So Lilly isn't known for that. So I was just kind of like trying to put it together.
So when I interviewed for Lilly, I was so excited because the one thing I didn't think of when I went to Bradley, as an 18-year-old deciding I want to go to Bradley, was when I was a senior, all the companies that came on campus were from Chicago and St. Louis. I was like, oh, I didn't think of this. There's nobody here from Indianapolis. Well, the Indiana Department of Highways and Eli Lilly and Company were the two Indiana companies that came to Lilly.
So funny.
And why they did, I have no idea.
Yeah.
But so I'm like, Lilly, well, that's pretty big in Indianapolis. So I interviewed, and it's like, I don't want to be, I don't want to be negative here, but why does Lilly need civil engineers?
Right, well, that's what I'm like,
But they explained to me that the department that was interviewing they were like a project management department where they're like, hey, we need to build new manufacturing buildings, and we need to build new laboratory buildings, and we need to build new utility buildings. I was like, oh yeah, I mean, you guys got sprawling campuses, and somebody's got to build the buildings.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to design the buildings. So there was, it was that. It's like they don't need civil engineers to make medicine or to discover things in the lab, but eventually they need to manufacture it, and they need to have labs to discover it and all that.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I get it. So so I got the job at Lilly, and so I was in a project management group where we didn't do the design. So the way it worked was we had like a team of engineers, like mechanical, civil, electrical, chemical. There'd be like a team of different types of engineers that would oversee engineering companies design a $50 million manufacturing facility or something like that. So we were managing scope, schedule, and budget, and overseeing the technical design. Like we would be the ones reviewing the drawings and reviewing the specs and things like that. But we weren't doing the design or developing the specs. They had 50 people doing that, and then we would we'd have like 3 or 4 of us that were reviewing it. So we didn't have time to do the design, but we had the expertise from our degrees that we can review and ask questions and make sure everything's what we need. So so that kind of led to, I don't want to jump ahead here, but that kind of led to my race management career. Because
talk about project management is so useful in that environment.
At one point I was like, scope, schedule, and budget. Well, when you put on a race, the scope is you want to run from point A to point B, and the budget is you need to have entry fees and sponsors to pay for porta-johns and finisher medals. And the schedule, you got to shoot the starting gun at 8 o'clock on a certain day, and you better
have all the things happen up to that point.
So at some point I just realized, wow, being a race director is basically being a project manager.
Yeah.
You got to support scope, schedule, and budget, and you also have to be a little bit diplomatic to work through all the issues that you're gonna work through. So if you can manage the scope, schedule, and budget, and you can be a little bit diplomatic in dealing with the unknowns that constantly come up, those are good skills to be a race director.
Yeah. I'm married to a project manager
and
computer engineer.
Okay.
So it's like having those skill set in a family is also really helpful too.
Yes.
It's really nice, especially when it balances me out really well. Like I'd like to think I'm organized and somewhat detail oriented, but nowhere compared to my husband.
Okay.
So yeah.
Well, that's good to have a balance there.
Yes, for sure. And so how did you meet your wife?
Well, it's funny because I said my musical career ended in high school or after high school, but I'm still really good friends with 4 of the guys that we were in this show choir together.
That's so funny.
Yeah, from high school. So we were 18 when we graduated. Now we're 60. We're those like 5 guys that sit in the corner of the restaurant where all the young people go, look at those 5 old guys there. Now it's us.
Yeah.
Sitting around drinking our coffee, but we get together a couple times a year. But anyway, when we all got out of college, one of the guys is like, hey, there's this community theater, there's this show. Let's all get together and do it, because we did this stuff in high school. And we were in like the school musicals and things like that.
Yeah.
So we did it and found out it was kind of a charity event. And so it wasn't like the best in the world. It was like, oh, look at this. 5 young guys showed up. You're in. It's like, but we haven't tried out.
Yeah,
you're in.
Doesn't matter.
You're in. It's like, okay. But anyway, it was fun. So in that show, it was called Cause for Applause, and it raised money for day nurseries of Indianapolis. And they hired like a producer or whatever to come in and put on this show. And so anyway, there was just a bunch of us, and we all got to know each other, and one of them was my wife, Kathy. So we met in this show. So
that's crazy.
We were at first, as my friend Gary, we were kind of, Gary, man, what'd you get us into? But at the end of the day, I met my wife.
Great.
So
yeah.
Good job, Gary.
Thank you, Gary.
Yeah.
So how long have you and Kathy been married?
We got married in 90. So we are coming up on 35 years in October.
Dang, that's awesome. What a milestone.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so then you were married for 5 years before you started the race then, if my math is correct.
Yeah. I was interested in running a marathon in Indianapolis because by now I had been doing, that would have been in the mid-90s. So I'd been doing triathlons for about 10 years, and I had started having kids, and so my triathlons were starting to wane.
Yeah.
And, what do you have time for? You have time to run because you can always run at lunch and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so
bring your shoes and your...
So my running was kind of picking up at the expense of triathlons. And so I'd actually done a few Ironmans, and so I was like, I just want to do, by now, I kind of developed into that level. But I had done 3 Ironmans.
That's crazy.
But I had never run a marathon.
Oh,
other than in the
yeah.
Ironman. So I was like, I'd like to just run a marathon, just see how I can do if I'm not, swimming and biking.
If I haven't swam for 2 miles and biked over 100 miles, how would it feel?
How would it feel? and so I did a couple of marathons. Like I said, I'm not like this super gifted athlete. I'm just a weekend warrior. So it's not like I'm super fast or anything, but I did qualify for Boston, which for me was a big deal because
How old would you have been at that time?
I qualified in 96, which happened to be the 100th anniversary. I wasn't trying to qualify for the 100th anniversary of Boston.
That's pretty cool.
But it was like 1995. So I was, like I said, that's really in the early 90s. I really had started picking up my running, and that actually got to be the best part. I was probably strongest in the run on the triathlons at that point because I'd started doing a lot more running because I just had time for it. Mm-hmm. And I just had the ability. I could just get off the bike and run. And that's the one thing about triathlons is a lot of runners, they get off the bike and their legs are just like, where did my legs go?
Yeah.
But I was just able to I could ride as hard as I could, and then I could get off the bike and run. And
wow.
And so that was probably why I was decent at triathlons, because I could do that. And so anyway, I just started doing a few marathons, like I said, nothing great, 3:30, 3:20.
I mean, the people you're talking to are going to be like, whoa.
Okay. Well,
so that's great.
My nephew runs them in 2:30.
I mean, it's so funny. And, I just always say it's all relative, right?
Yeah,
it depends on
relative.
who you're talking to. Like for somebody who runs a 6-hour marathon, 3:30, they're like, holy crap, that's insane. Right. For me, that's really impressive. I mean, I've never come close to that.
Okay.
So,
I mean,
so you're great.
For me, I was excited to break 3:10 and be able to qualify for Boston. And then I thought, I want to do a marathon in my hometown. I want to do a marathon in Indianapolis, but we don't have one. And so I started asking around, why don't we have a marathon? Why don't we have a marathon? And everyone I talked to was like, oh, it's too hard. It's too hard to put on. You'd have to coordinate with the city and the county and the parks and da-da-da. And so finally I was just like, well, I want to do this, so I'm going to start a marathon. And that's how it started. Because when I was in 1986, so I'd been doing triathlons for a few years. We had the Pan Am Games here in Indianapolis in 1987. So there was a marathon in Indianapolis in 1986 that was open to the public, and I think it was to use like as a trial run for the Pan Am Games marathon that was going to be in 87. So the Pan Am Games is like the Olympics for the Americas, like North and South America, all the countries there. It's like the Olympics.
Yeah. Do those still happen?
Yeah, I think it happens every 4 years.
Okay.
But Indianapolis hosted it in 87.
Yep. Okay.
And so there's an Olympic marathon. Well, there's a Pan Am marathon. So it ran by about a mile and a half from my house. And I remember going down there and seeing this marathon. Oh, these people are doing a marathon. How cool is that? Mm-hmm. And then 10 years later, I'm like, oh, it wasn't like we now have a marathon. That was just kind of a 1-year thing. And so I'm like, I want a marathon in Indianapolis. So I started it.
And so you made one.
And I had no idea what I was getting myself into.
Now, 30 years later.
30 years later, yeah, still doing
Here
it. But I learned a lot since then.
And at the time, you were still working at Lilly.
Yeah.
So, and you have five kids. How many kids did you have at that time when you started the race?
I had 2, and my wife was pregnant with the 3rd. Okay. So the first race was in 96 and it was October 12th, or I don't know, I can't remember the date. It was like early to mid-October, and we were due with our 3rd child, and I think the due date was like November 1st. So I was like, okay, this is cutting it kind of close. Yeah. And then the baby came 5.5 weeks early.
I was going to say, oh, good thing the baby didn't come early.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that was like crazy because
gosh, Joel.
Now I had a newborn. I had 2 other kids and a newborn, and the race was in 2 weeks. I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is rough. And so got through it. How? But that first year was pretty difficult as far as trying to work my job. Now we have a new baby. We already have 2 other kids, and I have this thing called a marathon I have to put on. So, but I mean, by then most of the work was done. Yeah, I mean, the way I operate is I always try to get as much done as far in advance as possible because things always come up. Always. It's like you have everything planned, and if you have everything planned and everything done as much as you can get done, then it's not a matter of, okay, now it's going to be smooth sailing. It's a matter of, okay, now when things start to fall apart, I have the capacity, I have the time to deal with it, because something always happens, So, it was a situation where just don't get much sleep for a couple weeks and do the race, and 1,000 people have signed up and paid, and the show must go on. And like I said, scope, schedule, and budget. Can't let the schedule slip, so the gun's got to go off. So it was crazy first year, but got through it and went pretty well.
Okay, what's the name of the kid that came 5.5 weeks early?
Andrew.
Good job. Way to go, Andrew. Wow. Way to just be a project manager. Just throw that in there.
Yeah, it's always something.
Wow. And did he spend time in the NICU then at that
No,
early?
Believe it or not, he was able to come home after 3 days or whatever. So, which
is almost harder for you because you didn't have somebody. I mean, the NICU, obviously you don't want to be there, but there's other people taking care of your kid.
Yeah, no, it was actually perfect, because, we were obviously very concerned when all of a sudden it's like, it was,
wait a minute, we
have to get her in there and he's coming, and that was unexpected. But he was healthy. He was 6 pounds. He was 5 weeks early. five and a half weeks
That's
early,
pretty
and he
good.
was 6 pounds.
Yeah.
So yeah, he didn't have to stay in the NICU or anything like that. So it was we were blessed to have healthy baby, and had other issues, but he was able to come home. It was probably harder on Kathy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So she was sick, and that was the reason.
Well, she had a cesarean.
Yeah.
And so that's hard to recover from.
Yes,
so.
I've had 2.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She had 4.
God bless you, Kathy.
And that's it's like we'd always be praying, how do we know how many kids to have? Well, when the doctor says, oh, I could see the baby through the lining because it's so thin, and if you have another one, you'll die. It's like, okay, thank you, Lord. That was a very clear answer.
Really clear-cut
answer.
We're
done.
Whoa, yeah.
So anyway, so it was an interesting couple of weeks, but it all worked out.
And 1,000 people for the first one.
Yeah, so we had 525 or something like that in the marathon, and then like 575 in the half marathon or something like that. So it was like 1,100 the first year, and the marathon just always stayed there.
Yeah,
the marathon just always stayed around 500. And then I guess it eventually grew up to like maybe 700 or 800, but the half marathon took off, and like in our glory days we had, I think we topped out around 6,000.
Wow.
But then we had also added a 5K, so that was another 1,000 or 1,500 in that as well. But so the first year we had 500 and some. We're not the Monumental Marathon,
right? But that's amazing.
Yeah, so we're more the suburban, race out at Fort Harrison. So, but yeah, it was what I wanted. I was kind of wanting a race, mid-sized race in the 3,000 to 5,000 ish, and it eventually, after several years, it got there and kind of stayed there.
So cool,
and still is. I mean, it's still about. I don't know what it'll be this year, but it's been around 3,000 to 3,500. I think it was after COVID. I think it dropped a little bit, but I think it's back up this year. It's probably going to be 3,500, maybe bigger. And I don't own it anymore.
Yeah.
But still directing it. So
yeah, it's so amazing. Wow. So the first marathon in Indiana outside of the Pan Am one that was like kind of a thing was
it wasn't.
Fort Bend?
They used to have one. It was called the Windy Marathon.
Oh,
and
wow.
Again, I remember that.
The Windy Marathon.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and I think it folded in like the early 80s.
Okay.
I think it was around for a while, but I think maybe the last year was in the early 80s. I can't remember exactly when. And then they had the Pan Am one, and then there was like 10 years with no marathon.
Thinking about that now is just nuts.
Yeah, I mean now because we have the Monumental's huge.
Yeah.
And for a while we had both the one at Fort Bend and the Monumental, so we had 2 here in Indianapolis. But and there's actually several. Well, then I'm also I'm the race director of the Mill Race Marathon in Columbus.
Yeah.
Event. I'm actually. We have another race director, but I'm the what's called the race coordinator. So I'm like the one that basically manages the logistics, the courses, the race site, all of the plans and things like that. Wow. We have a race director who he handles more of the. He's the one that founded the race. He had a run called the Mill Race Run, which was I think it was a 5K, 15K. And it had been going on for many, many years. His name is Randy Stafford. He was the founder and race director. And then a couple of folks approached him and said, "Hey, how about turning this into a marathon?" And so he's like, "Okay." So they turned his race had been going on for many years. They turned it into a marathon, and that's how the Mill Race Run became the Mill Race Marathon. And I wasn't involved the first year of the marathon, but then they contacted me after the first year because several of the people on their planning committee had done my race and really liked it.
Yeah.
So they're like, "Hey, would you be interested in coming up and working or coming down to Columbus and working with us?" I was like, "Well, it sounds like a lot of fun, but I kind of have a full-time job."
I was just like, "Joel, how are you doing all this stuff?"
But it was just an opportunity I just couldn't pass. So I did it. So this is my 12th year working on that race and my 30th year working on the what's now the Indy Half Marathon.
Yeah. Okay, so why Fort Bend? How did you end up there?
I live out there. So we live like 2 miles from the park. And I grew up in Indianapolis on the northeast side. So when I was, even before we moved out there, when I was training like for the Ironman and things like that, I had a group of friends that I would run with, and we would go, and that was before it was a state park. That's when it was still Fort Bend.
So you could still go in there?
It was in the early 90s, it was in the late 80s, early 90s. And we used to, you could go, even though it was an Army base, you could still get in there. They had gates and sentries.
Did you have to like see somebody like show ID or anything?
No,
or they just were like, you look like you're not going to do anything?
Yeah,
so.
I mean, they could definitely shut it off if they wanted to, close it down. When you came in on 56th Street, you just drove in and it was fine. I mean, you could drive all the way through it. But anyway, we'd go out there and do our long runs. And, I mean, we would literally run down Fall Creek Parkway, turn around, come back. And I'm just like, man, this is like the most beautiful training area, running all through the park and then running down Fall Creek Parkway. And so when I started the race, that was basically the course. It's like those training runs that I used to do. I'm like, no, I want everybody to be able to enjoy this. And so that's how I came up with the course, was basically using our marathon training runs and turning it into a race.
It's so beautiful out there.
Yeah, it's just so beautiful. Yeah. And I mean, some people are like, oh, there's no crowds cheering you on. It's like, yeah, but that's not what this race is about.
Right,
If go downtown and run a race, and you'll see people come out to Fort Bend, and you're going to be running literally on a 12-foot wide paved bike path through the woods for miles,
In like the most beautiful time of year to be running through there.
And the one thing I will say is when Beyond Monumental, when they bought the race, when I had it, it was always the third Saturday of October.
Oh, the third Saturday. Okay.
So the trees were changing, and it was like the trees were going to be red, orange, yellow. But was it going to be green, red, yellow, orange, or was it going to be red, yellow, orange, brown?
Right,
was it going to be an early or a late fall? But either way, we're going to have the color. And so I had started. It was called the Indianapolis Marathon Roadrunners Club. It was a nonprofit, and that when I say I didn't own the race, I had created this nonprofit which owned the race.
Yep. Okay.
And so we'd make money and we'd give it to charity, this group called Kids Incorporated, which was it's like a girls and boys club at Christian base.
That's so cool.
So when Beyond Monumental took over the race, they moved it up to the first weekend, the first Saturday of the month. And so now it's still beautiful, but you really don't quite get the colors that you used to, because that usually mid-October is just, that's when the colors would just, blow out. But I mean, it's still beautiful. I mean, running through the state, either through or around the state park in early October when the weather's almost always perfect, and it's just starting. You're just starting to get some color, but there's a lot of green and so a lot of shade, and so it's really it's beautiful. I mean, that's why I started it that time of year. So.
Well, I used to be afraid of doing the Indy Half because of the hills. Which is so silly, because I did the Geist a lot.
Oh, Geist.
And Geist is way worse.
It is so much more hilly.
So much more hilly.
Yeah.
So, and also, it's all relative, but it's like, it's really not that hilly. And this is one hill, that's
and when notable. I explain to people, because that's the thought is, oh, it is so hilly. And I said, no, there's two levels. You're either on the top of the hill or you're on the bottom of the hill, and you have to go up twice. And so for 13.1 miles, you're basically running flat either at the bottom or the top.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not totally
really not
flat, but you have your hill going up Boy Scout Road, which is a long gradual hill, and then you have your hill at mile 10. Right,
the mean one, which now we put the timing mats at the bottom and top.
The kill the hill. Kill the hill. So timing mat, the top and the bottom, and whoever runs the hill fastest gets a prize. So that was a very clever way to take what was a not well-liked part of the course and make it fun.
And make it fun. I like it a lot.
Yeah, so that's very interesting. But so most of it's flat except for those two hills.
Yeah. Yeah, so for anybody listening who's like, oh, I couldn't do that. It's so hilly. It's not. It's just not.
It's not that bad.
It's so amazing out there. It's a beautiful race, well run. I mean, it's just awesome.
Thank you.
And now, well, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves either, because I'm like, and now this year we're doing this. No, because I want to touch back on, like, you've run, or you've completed 5 full Ironman races?
Yes.
Which is just crazy. And then how many like half marathons, full marathons you've done?
I think I've done, well, I count workouts as marathons. So when I first started the race, the Indianapolis Marathon in 1996, 1 week before the race, I towed the starting line, hit my watch, and ran the course. So I gave myself a finisher medal because I literally
ran the race,
ran the course, and was the official record holder for a week. So
you were first and last place.
Well, that's true. I came in last place, but I also came in first place. And so I literally had the course record for 1 week, and then it was broken by about an hour.
Okay.
Because I think I ran like a 3:30, and I think the winner did like a 2:30. So,
wow.
So I did that for the first 4 years, and then I was like, what am I doing? This is killing me. So I stopped doing that. But if I include those 4 marathons on my own course that I ran solo, actually 1 year I ran with another guy. And if I count my 5 Ironmans, then I've done about 16 or 17 marathons.
Yeah. Wow.
So I mean, how many times I just sign up for a marathon and go, is probably 7 or 8.
Wow.
So it wasn't like I'm not one of these people that runs 50 states or So I really haven't done that many just plain marathons. But
yeah,
a couple of Bostons, a couple of qualifying for Bostons, and 4 or 5 others, and then my own.
What was the first race where you said you qualified for the 100th Boston?
So that was very interesting. I think that was my 3rd just straight out marathon. But my goal was I'm sorry, I'm getting my other Boston qualifier confused with that one. So
I can't wait till that day where I'm like, I can't remember which race I qualified for.
I only did 2. In my whole life, only twice did I run fast enough to qualify for Boston.
Still incredible.
And both times I said I'm going because I don't know if I'll ever do it again. And now I know I'll never do it again. So, but I ran this race called the Hoosier. I think it was called the Hoosier Marathon. It was in Fort Wayne.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And it was a 4-mile bike path. So the way the race went is you did like this 2-mile loop around a golf course, and then you ran 4 miles down a bike path. You turned around and came back, and you did that 6 times. You went down, back, down, back, down, back. And so it was literally just a small course and the field had, it probably had like a little over 100 people.
Yeah.
So, it got spread out quick enough. It wasn't like it was packed, but I was just like, okay, I'm going to know exactly where I'm at. When I go by this tree, I got to be feeling a certain way, and I'm going to go by it 6 times, 3 times that way and 3 times the other way. And so it was a very, I would say, controlled environment.
Right. It reminds me like thinking about what I've heard about the BQ too, like the last chance one where they like do a looped course. It's very controlled just to help with that. So it sounds like a good environment.
Yeah. So it was a very controlled environment. And luckily I started running with a couple of other guys. I think there was 3 of us that were running together, and we all had the goal. And I don't know, around 24 miles, I started to bonk. I'm like, uh-oh. But I had built up like a 4-minute buffer, and then those last 2.2 miles, I really started slowing down. Like I was trying to run 7s or 7:15s or whatever, and it's like 7:45. Okay, that's not good. And then like 8:30.
Oh yeah, and you're like, oh no.
But then I was like finish line, so it's like okay. So I think I ran like a 3:08. It's like okay, I made it.
Okay.
So that was my first time I qualified for Boston. I'm like, all right, I'm going to Boston. If I never make it again, I'm going. And then I'm like, oh, this is the 100th. And so when I got there, I mean, usually back then, Boston was usually 10,000 people. And I show up and there's 50,000 people, So it was just like,
for the 100th, there were 50,000.
Everybody wanted to do the 100th. It's like, I didn't want to do the 100th. I just wanted to qualify, And so it was a zoo. I mean, I guess, looking back, it's like, oh, I did the 100th,
That's really cool.
And I've talked to a lot of people. They're like, oh, I was there because everybody was there. The 100th. But honestly, it was.
A quick break to tell you about this week's sponsor, Cure. Cure is a plant-based hydrating electrolyte drink mix with no added sugar. natural, delicious, and convenient way to keep you and your whole family hydrated without the artificial stuff. I've been working with Cure for months, and it's a very clean, easy way to hydrate. They come in little sticks, so you can put them in your purse, your gym bag, just keep them in a drawer, and have hydration on the go. There's no additional added sugar. There's only 25 calories per serving, and even have a version for kids now. So there are flavors like berry pomegranate, strawberry kiwi, lemonade, that's my kid's favorite, watermelon, tropical punch, blood orange, lime. There's even more than that. So it's a perfect way to start your day, or just a great way to have hydration available on the go wherever you are. 75% of Americans are dehydrated and don't drink enough water and electrolytes. Everybody listening should be a runner, right? So if we are always running, we always need to be hydrating, especially in the end of this summer training where the heat's been pretty brutal. So for Finish Lines and Milestones listeners, Cure is offering 20% off your first order. Stay hydrated and feel your best by visiting curehydration.com/AllieB, that's ALLYB, and use promo code AllieB at checkout. That's curehydration.com/AllieB, and use code AllieB for 20% off your first order. Now, back to the show.
And I've talked to a lot of people. They're like, "Oh, I was there," because everybody was there. The 100th. But it wasn't the experience I had hoped for, just because it was so crowded. And the Boston Marathon starts on a narrow 2-lane road, okay, in Hopkinton or whatever the name of the town is. I mean, it's literally a 2-lane road, and so it was so crowded the whole race, because everybody's kind of running the same speed because y'all have to qualify. So you're not going to have anybody out there doing 7s or 6s or 5s, And so it was great. And I'm the type of guy that I was like reading all these books on the history of the Boston Marathon and the great duels of the Boston Marathon. So, when I was out there running, I was like, oh, this is where so-and-so broke away, or here's where, this happened. And, Bill Rogers made his move. And so I was just loving it, loving the historical part of it. But I was like, if I ever have a chance to come back, I want to come back. And so 5 years later, in 2001, actually in 2000, I qualified again. And so I went back for the 105th, and I think it had like 10 or 15,000.
Okay. And
so I was like, okay, that was the experience that I was hoping for, because it wasn't just like, jammed the entire time. So it was, looking back, it was kind of cool to do the 100th, but it was also fun to be able to get out there and do it one more time.
Yeah.
In a more normal year.
Yes.
Where I could, kind of enjoy it and not, not be
worried about falling down.
Weaving for 20 miles. But so it was a great experience.
How do you have your finisher jacket from the 100th year?
No.
Did they have it then? They had to have.
Yeah, but they didn't. You would have had to buy it.
And so you're like,
no.
Not even the other year?
No, I have my medals.
Okay, well that's good.
I have my finisher
But how do you
medals.
just walk around and show people you've run Boston? You gotta like.
That's true.
How are people gonna know, Joel? That's so funny.
Yeah,
Yeah, there you go. Well,
I have my Ironman finisher shirts, and I have my Boston T-shirts, and I'll still throw them on occasionally.
There you go.
But I don't have the jacket.
Okay, the T-shirt, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
that's cool.
So I still have the T-shirts.
Okay.
And they're still hanging in the closet, and they get worn every now and then.
Yeah.
But
yeah, those finisher jackets now.
Yeah.
It's like you have to have.
Yeah, I've never been the one to need to promote myself in that way, I guess.
Well, I want one so bad. So when I have one, I might not take it off.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
everybody has their own.
To each their own. People are very different in that way. Like, but it's so cool that you did the 100th Boston.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And not intentionally.
Yeah.
It just
not even
it just
on purpose.
worked out. I was like, really? There's going to be 50,000 people there?
gosh.
Really? So anyway, it was quite the crazy event.
Yeah. And then you traveled, I would imagine, quite a bit for Lilly, because were you helping them build facilities
not
internationally,
a whole
or
lot.
no?
No, I never did international travel. So I mean,
surprises me.
Lilly is so, at least, especially back in the 80s, 90s, there was just so much of it was in Indiana. So most of my work was in Indianapolis or in Lafayette. We had a manufacturing facility in Lafayette.
Okay.
So I'd go up to Lafayette all the time, and in Clinton, Indiana, which is in literally the middle of nowhere.
I was like, where? Yeah, I don't.
Clinton is like half an hour north of Terre Haute.
Okay.
So you're literally...
Yeah, Terre Haute's in the middle of nowhere.
And Terre Haute's in the middle of nowhere. So yeah, I would drive out there and you're literally just driving through cornfields and all of a sudden there's this big, huge manufacturing plant. It's like, wow, look at that, right in the middle of nowhere. So in Greenfield, yeah, my travel was hop in the car, drive an hour and a half, and then come back at the end of the day. So it wasn't
a lot
of travel. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I did some travel for conferences or something like that, but it's not like I had to travel to Europe.
To Europe for like a week and here and there.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although it was fun whenever I did have to travel somewhere, I'd always take my running shoes.
Right. I love nothing more than exploring by running.
Yeah. Probably about a couple years before I retired, I had to go to California for something, and so I took my running shoes, and I'm literally, it was Pasadena. Is that where the Rose Bowl is? Pasadena?
Sure.
Anyway,
I should know. I don't know.
Anyway, I'm just running. It's like, okay, after work, I just throw them on, I'm just running and get out of the city and just, this looks like a nice park-like area. So I find some road that's got trees, and I go around this curve, and there's the Rose Bowl. And I'm just like, look at that. There's it's in this beautiful like green park tree filled area. It's not like it's not like surrounded by buildings. It was just like in this beautiful area. And I just literally went around a curve on this road and it's like, wow. So I ran up to it. It was locked, but I took a selfie and all, that type of stuff. But I just remember just going, wow, I just stumbled upon the Rose Bowl.
That's so cool.
But went to different places that I'd have to go, and always got a run in whenever I was there. So
that's so cool.
That was pretty neat. It's a fun way to visit a city is with your running shoes and jogging around and seeing it that way. So it was fun.
And do any of your kids run now, or do triathlons? Or anything?
None of them did triathlons. My youngest swam. He would have been a great triathlon, but just never had the interest. My second daughter, my youngest four, my oldest daughter never ran, but my other four ran cross country in middle school and high school.
Okay.
So number two, Jessica, she runs, she jogs and has done some half marathons. And then my oldest son, the one who was born 2 weeks before
Andrew.
Yeah, he was in track and cross country in high school, and he still runs and occasionally will jump in and do a race. And then my youngest daughter, number 4 out of 5, Emily, she does. So she did her first marathon last fall at the Mill Race Marathon, and she's training to do it again this year.
That's so cool.
And Jessica did the half marathon. So it was so fun because at last year's race, I'm the race director, but one of my daughters did the half and the other daughter did the full, and I'm the race director. So
That's pretty fun.
Yeah, that was.
Did you get to give them their medals?
I didn't, but
because I don't know where you are.
Yeah, I'm all over the place, but I did take the time to see them on the course several times. So I'm like, I know they should be around here somewhere.
Wow.
And they weren't running together, but so I did see them on the course once or twice. And then when Emily finished, I had made it a point to get to the finish. And so I saw her there's a turn, you come down 7th Street, you turn on 7th Street and you go one block to the finish. So I was at that corner. So I was cheering her on as she made her last turn to the finish line. So I wasn't there to give her a medal, but I was.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Though.
So it was pretty neat. And she's training for it again this year. So
that's awesome.
She's putting in the miles.
Yeah.
And
what's the date on the race this year?
The Mill Race is September 27th, Saturday, September 27th.
Okay.
And then the Indy Half is 1 week later. Of course, I do 2 races and they're 1 week apart, right? So I'm like, ugh. So the Indy Half is 1 week later on Saturday, October 4th.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I first was in this madness, there was usually 3 or 4 weeks between them. But then when Beyond Monumental, they're like, we're going to move it to the first Saturday.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, no.
You're like, that's okay.
Yeah, now I've got.
Sounds
but
great.
I love doing both races, so it's just very busy.
Right.
Really,
at least it gets all the work out of the way quickly.
Yes, yeah, it does. I mean, once those 2 are over, then it's like, okay,
breathe.
I used to have one, and then okay, now I can regroup and then do the other. Now it's just like boom, bam, and then okay, then exhale.
Time for a nap.
Time for a nap. Yeah, but so that was really fun. And my son Andrew, I think 2 years ago or 3 years ago, he did the Indy Half marathon.
Okay.
So he I guess that was redundant. Indy half marathon.
That's funny.
Anyway, yeah, he did that. So that was fun having him. It's always fun when they run the event.
Right.
But growing up, they don't remember life without it, right? Because my oldest daughter was 3 when I started it, so she doesn't remember life before it. And then all the other kids, they just grew up. So it was kind of funny because in our house, Christmas was the number 2 day of the year. Marathon Day was the most exciting day of the year. So the kids growing up, it's like, it's Marathon Day, And so as they grew up, they always worked the event. So
I was going to say, what jobs did they
Yeah,
have?
when they were little, they would help stuff the race packets.
Yeah.
And then as they got older, I literally had them as part of my race crew. And they did everything. They worked water stops, they worked packet pickup, they worked out on the course, and so they basically have done it all. And in fact, Emily and Jessica still work. They still work for me. Like, obviously they don't work mill race if they're running it, but then like the next week, right now, Emily's going to be one of my finish line leaders, and Jessica's going to be one of my course directors in charge of a segment of the course. And so they're still working it.
I love that.
Yeah,
that's
and
really
Andrew,
amazing.
my son, who now lives in Bloomington, he'll drive over to Columbus and he'll be on my crew for the mill race marathon.
Okay.
So he'll be out on the cone crew, and so it's fun to have the kids working it, and they always like I said, they always loved it growing up. So it's just like a family thing, it's a thing. So
yeah. Well, my girls, I have an 8-year-old and a 4-year-old. And so they're kind of in the same boat where like they haven't known me without running. I mean, for my oldest, I ran 2 half marathons while I was pregnant with her.
Oh my goodness.
So, which is crazy thinking about now. With my second, I did not.
Okay.
But yeah, I love bringing them to races. I love having them help cheer, or, now they're old. At least my oldest is old enough to be helpful.
Yeah.
And it's really, really fun.
Yeah.
Really fun. When did you decide, when you started the race, the community aspect of it, like having the money? And so, I mean, obviously you're working at Lilly. You don't really need to make more money, but you wanted to have a local marathon. How did you decide or figure out the community aspect of that?
Well, our church had this group called Youth Development, Inc., YDI. And I thought, well, if I'm going to take all the time to put on a race, I need to do it for a bigger cause than just the race. And so I talked to Jerry Barnaby. I talked to Jerry. I'm like, hey, want to raise some, it wasn't going to be a lot of money, but, raise some money for the ministry. And so that was kind of always a motivating force, was, hey, do something, give back to the community.
Yeah.
And then after the first year, I think it was after the first year, it might have been the second, but he took his ministry downtown and started what was called Kids Inc., Kids in Discipleship and Service. That made the acronym Kids Inc. And so I'm like, well, I'm going to continue to support your ministry, Jerry. And so it was just kind of motivating to know that, hey, I want to put this on. I want it to be successful so I can support, this fine work that Jerry and his folks are doing. And so that was always a driver, and the thing that was really cool is one of the things we were known for the first 20 years was putting on a big cookout. And so after the race, we had a big tent, 100 by 40, full of tables and chairs. And Jerry's Kids Inc., they had grills, and they'd be out there cooking burgers and brats, and they had potato salad. It was the full picnic lunch.
Making me so hungry now.
And it was funny because when I did like the Muncie Endurathon, which was like the half Ironman in Muncie. I probably did that race like a dozen times. That was probably my best distance. Probably a half Ironman was probably like the sweet spot for me because it's like I was never super fast, but I always had pretty good endurance. And so it's like I always did, not overall, because that brought people in from all over the country and even the world. But I mean, just as far as my goals, my personal goals, the half Ironman distance was pretty good for me. And after the race, they had a cookout. And I mean, I'm like, hamburgers? How, that sounds so disgusting. And then I went and I had a hamburger. I was like, that was the best hamburger I've ever had in my life. You do a half Ironman and, you're just eating protein and potato salad. I'm like,
salt.
this is
Give me all the salt.
Salt, yeah. I'm like, this is like the best meal I've ever had in my life. So when I started the marathon, I'm like, we're going to do that.
Yes.
And so Jerry's like, well, I'll bring out our grills and I'll bring out the crew and all our volunteers. And so they always put on this big cookout as kind of that was like their thing. It's like, you put on the race and you donate all this money to us, but we'll do this cookout for you. And so we always had this big cookout with burgers, brats,
Cool.
potato salad, slaw, cookies, and people loved it. Well, some people hated it. I'm like, oh, well.
Can't make everyone happy.
Go have a
That's
banana.
for sure.
We got bananas over there, but people loved it. And and it's such a beautiful race site. It's the parade grounds where back when Fort Bend was an active Army base, they have all the, officer housing around this horseshoe road. And then they had this big, beautiful green field in the middle. It was the parade grounds. That's where the troops would march before the officers at the end of basic training. Anyway, it's just this beautiful area. And so people, they still do, after the race, they just hang out.
It's so perfect.
It's one of the neatest parts of that race is they just hang out. They just, okay, I'm done, but it's beautiful, grass field, food, sunny day, 58 degrees. We're just going to sit around and we have bonfires going.
Yes.
We're just going to sit around for an hour and a half and just talk and hang out and see people finishing. And that's one of the things. And we haven't had very many, but some, like every 7 or 8 years, it rains,
Yeah.
You're always going to get, and that's so disappointing because of the after race. Because when it's raining, people just leave.
Right. You're like, well, I got to go.
Yeah. But one of my favorite parts of the race is people just hanging out, after the race. It's just such a cool environment. Anyway, it kind of started with the big cookout, and the cookout was inspired by the Muncie Endurathon, which to this day is probably the best meal I ever had. Every year it's like do the half Ironman and then eat those burgers and brats.
I've talked to our team at Monumental about getting chicken broth at the end of the Monumental, because at the end of the Philadelphia, I was supposed to run the marathon. I ended up doing the half.
Okay.
But I had chicken broth, and it brought me back to life. It's like one of those, I'll never forget that ever.
Yeah, the salty.
Salty warmth of that was just perfect.
That would be great.
So I'm like, Jed, come on, let's get some chicken broth. How hard can that be for 15,000 people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for the 30th, that we are going, I shouldn't say we, I'm not doing it, but Beyond Monumental is putting on a cookout again.
I'm so excited.
I did order the 100 by 60 foot tent. That's part of what I do. So I got the tent, the tables and the chairs and all that. So we're going to bring back the big meal tent, which, we haven't had for a while.
It's going to be so cool.
And so it's going to be, I think it's going to be kind of a breakfast type thing. I think the plan is to have like pancakes and things like that. And then I think it might turn into pizza later in the morning, as for the later finishers. If you're finishing around 11 or 11:30, I think it's going to be more of a lunch. But so I'm excited to see.
I can't wait for that.
See the big meal tent come back.
Yeah.
That whole concept pretty much died at COVID. So I think the first couple of years that Beyond Monumental had taken over the race, which was like 2016 was the first year. 21 was the first year that they had, taken it over from the nonprofit, from that nonprofit.
Right.
To
our nonprofit.
To a different nonprofit.
Yeah.
But we still had the cookout for, I think, the first 2 or 3 years, maybe 4 years. And then COVID hit. And then after that, it was like it went away. And so, they still have food, but it's more, grab a piece of pizza or something like that.
Yeah.
It wasn't the big meal tent.
Donuts and sandwiches. I forget what else there.
So it'll be interesting to see how this goes, because it was like I said, it was always fun. People still hang out afterwards, but now they can sit at a table and eat a meal while they're hanging out.
Yeah. I'm already looking forward to those pancakes.
Yeah.
I will be thinking about those for the 13.1 miles that I will run. Yeah.
And the 2 hills.
And the 2 hills, right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Can't wait to be done with those. But back to the kids part of it. So now, Beyond Monumental, we have a Monumental Kids movement, part of our mission, which is great. And we have a 1 mile race at Indy Half for kids. Did you have any kids running components throughout the race? Did the kids that are part of Kids Inc. get involved?
No, the Kids Inc., we never had a training and then racing component where what they're doing now is they are actually in all the schools. They're working with the gym teachers. these kids are training, and then they all come and they do the 5K. That's actually not the 1 mile run. That's the 5K. What we did was we had what was called the kids marathon. Right now they still have the 1 mile kids run. It's it's the 1 mile loop around that beautiful parade grounds, very controlled environment, but it's a mile. It's so big, you know.
I can't believe that's a mile. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a mile, and so we still have the 1 mile kids run for the little kids, but yeah, Beyond Monumental has a Monumental Kids movement where they're in all the schools and they're actually trained for the 5K. But back in the old days when my kids were growing up and they would all do this, we had what was called the kids marathon, and so you could get a sheet of paper and kids, little kids could go out and run like half a mile at a time or a mile at a time, and the parents would have this sheet of paper and they would just check it off, and the goal was to run 25 miles prior to race day. So all the kids would literally have 25 miles documented under their belt, and then on race day they would show up, and if they just entered, that's fine, you get a bib. But if the parent turned in this sheet of paper showing that the kid had run 25 miles, then you got a bright orange sticker on your bib. And then we did the kids 1 mile run around Lawton Loop, and any kid that just had a bib, they'd get a little finisher medal. But if they had the orange sticker, then they would get a marathon medal, the same medal that the marathoners got, and because that was basically finishing their 26 miles.
That is really
cool. And so they would get a marathon finisher medal.
Oh boy!
And yeah, so that was really cool. And my kids always did it, So
of course.
So it went up through 5th grade. I think you could do it up through 5th grade. And then we figured, okay, once you're in 6th grade, you need to start thinking in terms of the 5K.
Yeah.
You need to be doing the 5K. But up until then, you could still do the 1 mile run. Of course, you could do the 5K, but you could still do the 1 mile run. And if you got your miles in, then you were a kids marathon finisher, not just a kids fun run.
Yeah,
it was going on at the same time. But if you had the orange sticker on your bib, you were kids marathon.
We gotta figure out how to bring something like that back. That's pretty cool. That's a great idea.
Yeah, and it was like my kids were just like, "Come on, we got to get our miles." They're 5 years old. Come on, Mom, we got to get our miles.
Gotta go
Come
run.
on, Dad, we got to get our miles. We got to go run. And two laps around our block was a mile. 1 lap was a half a mile. So okay, let's go jog. Okay, you get a half a mile. 2 laps, you get a mile.
Yeah.
Come on, the race is only a week away. I still need to get 4 more miles. All right, let's get out there.
Oh my gosh.
And then neighbor
amazing.
kids, the kids in our neighborhood, they all did it.
But they'd be like, "What are you doing?" You'd be like, "Well, let me tell you about this."
Yeah.
And then...
So all the kids that they would play with, they were all
Wow.
out there. So yeah, it was fun, but it was also motivating for they were like wanting to get their miles in because they wanted to fill that out so they could get their finisher medal.
Right.
So it was that was a fun part. We still have the run, but it's just a kids fun run.
Yeah.
There's no kids marathon aspect of it anymore.
Yeah.
So.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
What a great idea. Okay, I really like this, Joel, how you have like one event per year that you have so that you have something out there that you're training for, that you're looking forward to.
Yeah, that's on the personal side, not on the race management side. But so not getting any younger. And so my running and triathlons morphed into adventure racing. So I used to do a lot of that, which is, they call it trekking. It's not running because it's kind of, you're on foot. So it's called trekking because sometimes you're running, sometimes you're walking. You're just doing whatever you have to do to get from point A to point B on foot. And the whole thing is orienteering. I don't know if you know what adventure racing is.
I think of Spartan stuff with all the obstacles, but that's different.
Not that. It's not that. This is map and compass. So you're going out into like a state forest. Like, there's a lot of them. There's not a lot of adventure races, but like Hoosier National Forest or Yellowstone or anyway, places like the ones around here are generally more in southern Indiana. They can be anywhere, but more in southern, just out in the deep forest. And basically, you have a map and you have a compass, and you get these instructions, and it says they give you coordinates. And you got to plot your points, and then it's like go. And it's an 18-hour race, and it's not like some people finish it, but it's more like you just keep going, but you have to be back in 18 hours. And then it's not who goes fastest wins, it's who gets the most points wins. So it's like if I can go out and get 23 checkpoints and you get 22, but you finish before me,
doesn't matter.
I win because I have more points. So
you go to places on the map then?
Yeah.
Like those are the checkpoints?
Yeah. So the way it works is like...
This is fascinating.
Yeah, you'll get a sheet that lists coordinates, and so then they might give you like 8 coordinates, and so you plot them on your big topo map, and then you got to go find them, and it's like it's out in the deep woods, so that's why it's trekking, because sometimes if you find a trail, and you got your compass, and you find a trail, you can jog along the trail, but then it's like, okay, now I'm going down into that ravine, and so then you're hiking down, you're looking for these checkpoints.
Do you do it with somebody else?
Yeah, I mean, I've done it solo twice. I don't think I'm going to do it solo again.
It doesn't seem like a good idea.
It's just not fun.
Well, and that,
I mean, I shouldn't personally.
As much fun.
It's just so much funner when you have a teammate that you're doing it with.
Right. I could totally see that.
Because it's like an adventure that you want to share with somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I did it twice. I'm like, this is really hard, and I don't have somebody with me to motivate each other. And
or you like see something cool.
Yeah, if I break my leg, I'm screwed. Yeah.
That too.
So you see something cool or whatever.
Yeah.
So but anyway, not to belabor it too long, but like at some like generally the 8th point, okay, this isn't an 8-point race, so something's going to happen there, and so you get to that 8th one, then there'll be somebody there giving you another one, and it's like now this one's on your bike, and so now you go do it on your. The next 6 points or 8, whatever, is you're on your bike. And a lot of it's road riding to, get to other parts of the forest. Jeez. Or it could be you're having to ride on trails and do mountain biking. And then, okay, I wonder, the last point here, it's by a creek. I know what's happening, or it's by a lake. So you get there, and sure enough, there's the canoes. So you hop in the canoe, and now you got to navigate to this island or to the other side. And so it's still map and compass, but now you're on a canoe. And so it's just, you don't know what you're getting into, and then maybe more on foot, so it says you just keep going until you get to a point where, okay, we have, it's 11:21 p.m. We have until midnight to get back.
So we just got to go.
So we got to get back. And if you don't get back in time, you basically get hammered. So you you lose 1 point for every minute you're late. So think about it. You're out there, you're getting 23 points over 17
and then you're 10
hours.
minutes late.
You're 10 minutes late. Boom. You just lost 10 out of your 20 points. Yeah.
No.
So you don't come back late. If you come back late, you've blown it.
Wow.
So it's so it's interesting, and so I used to do a lot of anyway. So my one thing a year is like maybe I'll do an adventure race, or maybe I'll like this year. My goal was, there's this bike path called the Ohio to Erie bike path, and it's a 326 mile bike. Almost the whole thing is bike path. It goes across Ohio. I did it backwards. So I started at Lake Erie and rode all the way to Cincinnati. I did it over like 4 days, about 80 some miles a day. Jeez. But it was just, it's like, okay, that's really cool. It's really, that's, and people are like, oh, have fun. It's like, well, I'm not really doing it for fun. I'm doing it more for the adventure and the experience. But this one was actually fun.
Yeah.
But just something like that. I've like hiked. Have you heard of the Knobstone Trail?
No.
It's like a 40.
Is it in Kentucky?
It's in southern Indiana.
Oh, Indiana. Sorry, Indiana people.
No, that's all right. A lot of people haven't heard of it. Yeah. But it's like a 47-mile backpacking trail. Okay. But it's like this. And so I've done that a couple of years. But every year it's like I try to do something, backpack the Knobstone Trail. I've done that 3 times.
Wow.
Try to do it in like 3 days. Most people do it in like maybe 4 or 5. I'm like, no, let's move.
Let's make this a little
harder. Yeah. Or long bike ride. There, a couple times I actually did the adventure race solo. Like I said, I'd like to do that again, but I need to find a teammate. I don't want to do that solo anymore.
Do you sign up as a team if you do it with a teammate? Okay. Yeah. That sounds so cool. Do they have a class? But I have never really used a compass. So do they like have a class you could go to like learn how the heck to do it?
Separate from those races, there's this organization called Indy Orienteering.
Wow.
Anyway, I'm sorry, Indio. I can't remember the name of your organization, but it's basically an orienteering club here in Indiana.
Huh.
and they have orienteering meets like probably 5 or 6 a year, maybe more. But I do a lot. I like orienteering. I was a Boy Scout, so it's like the whole mountain.
That's really cool.
So the orienteering meets are like, generally they're like a couple of hours. It's not like an 18-hour adventure race. But they generally will have like clinics, like if they're, okay, like they just had one. Unfortunately, I couldn't do it. But they had one yesterday. And it's like, okay, this is like you can do a 2-hour or a 4-hour. But usually, if you go early, they'll have people there that'll teach you,
cool.
how to use the map and compass and kind of give you an orienteering on how to orienteer.
An orientation for
orienteering. Yeah.
Say that a few times.
Yeah. So so they're very helpful in teaching you how to do it. But I mean, to me, that's like doing a sprint triathlon. I'll go do an orienteering meet, and it's just cut 2 hours, but it's a lot of fun, and you're out in the woods. I just love being outside, and you're just running through the woods and trying to find, it's like a treasure hunt or something. Just out there trying.
I've done geocaching one time. Like I was on a retreat, and it was like a team building type of exercise. That's
similar, only you're probably using like a GPS.
Yeah, so it's like cheating basically.
Well,
but it was hard still for.
It's the same concept as you're trying to find something.
Yes.
There's something out there, and I got to find it.
Yeah.
Now you're using a GPS. Where in orienteering meet, you're using
just got the compass.
It's old school. It's map and compass. No GPS is allowed, and you just gotta you gotta look at.
Have you ever gotten lost?
I've gotten a little bewildered a few times.
Yeah.
But when you're really into it at the level of like adventure racing and things like that, you just have to. You look for what they call guardrails, which is like I'm lost. Okay, I'm lost. But I know that there is a creek that way, or I know that there is a significant hill, or you find something that is like, okay, as soon as I find this creek, then I can find these bends in the creek, and I can reorientate. I don't know what the word is, where I'm at.
Yeah.
And then you go attack the point again.
Nuts.
So there's ways. That's why I was like, I've never been lost. I was like, what do I do? It's like, okay, I've obviously blown this one. So now I got to go find something on the map that I can know. I know I'm here now, and now I need to go take a second shot at it. And the people that are really good at it, they probably never get lost. But some of the harder ones, usually not in an orienteering meet, but on adventure races, they can be a lot harder. Just because you are, you might be going like an hour in between points. Or if you do an orienteering meet, usually you're not going an hour in between points. That's why the orienteering meets are fun, is because you get more gratification by, okay, if I can get a point every 12, 15 minutes
right.
as opposed to every hour.
Right. It's like more endurance kind of mindset.
There's been a couple times it's like, all right,
it's been
I'm here. I need to go find a creek or a hill or a something.
Wow. I don't know how I've never heard of that. I never knew that's what that was.
So a good friend of mine.
I use my GPS for everything. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
I was going to say a good friend of mine, Brian Holtzhausen, he's the owner of Dino. I don't know if you've heard of the Dino Trail Running Series and mountain bike series. And so he's the one that he puts on what's called the Mission Adventure Race. That's an 18-hour race every May. And then he has the CIA, which is the Central Indiana Adventure Race, which he puts on every October, which is a 12-hour. So, again, it's like in Indiana, we have 2 races every year. People probably travel hours to ever be within an adventure race area. But here in Indiana, there's 2 every year. So it's really cool.
I'm so curious to hear if other people listening have done those. I mean, I'm sure somebody listening has, I would think. Yeah. But that's really cool. I would get lost. I don't think I could do it. I don't think that's my jam.
You see, you generally people do it in teams, but your teams are usually like 2 or 3 people, maybe even 4. And so as long as you have one person who's really good at orienteering, like if I've done it, if I do it, I'm pretty good with orienteering, so I can do it with friends. It's like, hey, it's like, or I'll say, this is what we're looking for, and so they can be looking. Or the other thing is, you got to count your steps, because if I know that I need to go 300 yards or a quarter of a mile that way, if we're jogging, I mean, I know, okay, if I'm just going to be jogging along at 10-minute miles, and if I jog for 4 minutes, we're going to be a little bit less than a half a mile. So or if you're walking through it where it's like you can't jog because you're in the deep woods, it's like we need to go this way, so many meters, 250 meters, so that's 150 paces. And so other people can count our
right.
I'm like trying to keep us on track, and
somebody else
I don't have to worry about counting steps. And they're like, okay, we've just gone 150 paces. I'm like, okay, it should be around here,
Wow.
So that's where teams can work together. Even if you're not good at orienteering, you can probably count, right?
Well, yeah. I don't know. I'm like, lose my train.
So don't lose your train of thought. Yeah. And, if you're counting to help us on distance, and I'm helping us on direction, as a team, we can have a better chance of getting where we need to go.
Yeah. Wow.
So those are the type of things I try to do every year.
So you can't use a GPS watch then, I'm assuming?
No.
Yeah. Oh.
No.
How do you have it on Strava then? I'm such a road runner.
Oh,
can you tell? Like I like to have everything tracked and on there. You're like, I don't think you can't. It's like a mystery.
Yeah.
How will people know how fast I went? They won't. Oh my gosh, what is that like?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's my goal is every year to do something kind of significant.
Yeah.
So I just did that bike ride last week, last Monday through Thursday.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
it was a lot of fun. And now for those, I can use a GPS. So
yeah, that's good.
I have my bike GPS and keep me on track. But so that was like my goal for this year is go do this 4-day bike ride. And the weather turned out, it was so hot this summer, and then I go do the ride, and it's like the temperatures were like perfect.
I'm so happy.
First couple days was hot, but then it was just like, this is unbelievable.
Because the weather has been really brutal this year.
And I was planning on the heat, but it's like, okay, bonus.
Nice. Yeah.
Bonus. Yeah. So that's what I try to do every year is just do something.
Something out there.
I'm not going to Australia and doing something like that. I'm just doing stuff around here, but something significant that I can look back and say, okay, when I was 60, I did this. When I was 59, I did that. And anyway, keeps me motivated.
Yeah. And you don't have any grandkids yet, right?
No.
You've got a couple kids that are married, though?
Two are married.
Okay.
No grandkids yet.
Yeah, you can't really you got to kind of be careful about putting the pressure on.
No,
but it's
we
like,
don't.
Okay.
No pressure.
Yep, no pressure. Just,
No pressure.
Whenever.
But I'm not getting any younger, but no pressure.
Exactly, like I'm 60. Hello.
I did tell my son-in-law recently, I said, and he was a big baseball player.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, if you guys have kids, I know you're the type of guy, you're going to be the coach.
Yep.
I mean, my kids are growing up. I was always the coach, I'm like, Andy, you're going to be the coach. So I'm just saying, I'm going to be your assistant coach, and I'm not getting any younger. So anyway,
I'm going to be your assistant coach. That's
so
great.
I've already established that. I'm going to be the one that's going to be, working with the parents and doing all the stuff that the coaches hate.
Yeah.
So that you can coach. I'll be the administrator.
Oh, that's so nice. Yeah.
Anyway.
Dealing with parents as a coach is probably the very worst part.
Yeah. I mean, I coached for years, having 5 kids that spanned many years of baseball and softball. But I always made it a point to get to know the parents by name, become friends with them, and that all, again, maybe that's my being diplomatic part of me that helps put on races. But I always had great experiences with parents because I loved their kids and I loved their families, and if we could win a few games, that was good too.
That was fun too. Yeah. I try to help be the administrator for my husband.
Okay.
And like keeping track of all the parents' names.
Yeah.
Because it's hard. It's hard to. Yeah. You have to. If I don't write it down, I'm not going to remember.
Yeah. I learned that from my dad. My dad was like all about everybody's a person. They all have their own stories and know their names. And so when I started coaching, it's like I'd have the roster. And going to every practice or every game, I'd have whichever kid was on the team. I'm like, all right, let's go through it. And it's like, so-and-so, Sam. I was like, Ted and Joanna, and I would like learn all the parents. It's like going to practice and going to games. I would just learn the names. And so then when I got there, it's like,
Same.
I'd know them.
You'd like immediately like,
I'd be like, hi Ted, hi, Steve, hi Paula, because I valued that. And then, and anyway.
I love that so much. I could actually talk about that for like a lot longer, but we won't. But for people listening, like if you don't have a good memory or you have a hard time remembering people's names, like I use my notes app all the time now, and I like try to put information in my contacts so that I can kind of cheat. Like if I'm like, oh, what was their husband's name?
Yeah.
I forget, but I'm trying to purposely do a better job of that because people do like to hear their name. They are, and you can tell when somebody doesn't remember your name.
Yeah.
And it's fine because everybody's human and we don't remember. It's,
It's more, it's not so much that if you don't remember somebody's name, they get mad. It's more like in today's world, when you do remember somebody's name, it's just like such a pleasant thing, It's like, wow.
Yeah, like, oh, you were really good at names. People say that to me. You're really good at names. I was like, I'm actually really horrible at it. I have to practice.
Yeah, I write it down because
I
think
it's
important.
Yeah. Like, I seriously have thought about making myself flashcards in certain scenarios because that's how I remember things. Anyway,
that's important.
That's so funny, but I think that's really great advice. So before we get to the end of the podcast questions, Joel, I want to ask you about what you want runners to know about what it's like to be a race director or like start a race. Like what do you wish runners knew more about? Because there's certain things I've picked up now over the years where it's like, hey, if you could throw your goo packet by a cone that has to be picked up anyway, that'd be great because we know there's not trash cans all over the course.
Yeah.
So those kinds of things, or I don't know, what you wish people would understand a little bit better, or I don't know, are there things like that?
Yes, there are. There's a lot of things like that. Probably because I've been doing this 30 years. I have a lot lower expectations than maybe when I was, when I was young and doing it and going, why do people throw their goo packets everywhere?
Yeah.
Picking up goo packets has got to be one of the worst.
I'm sure.
So, but the bottom line is the more that I can do to help the participants be responsible, the more they will be responsible.
Yes.
So instead of complaining about the fact that they throw cups everywhere, well, if I provide a trash box 100 yards past the water stop, not 10 yards, but 100 yards past it, then the people who are just carrying their cup are going to throw it at or near the box.
Yes,
they might miss, and that's okay.
I always try to make it, but I do miss a lot.
Yeah, but if you miss and it's on the ground right there, same thing with clothes. Generally it's like, well, I used to always tell people, if you're going to shed a layer, throw it next to a mile marker.
Yes.
Throw it next to a
barricade, anything that's going to have to be picked up.
Just throw it next to something that's going to be picked up, and they'll just make our life a lot easier.
Yeah.
So if you just tell people that, they would, 99 out of 100 times, they're going to go, oh, yeah.
Oh, they just don't know.
You don't.
It's not somebody being an a-hole. They just don't think about it. They're running.
Yeah. How are you supposed to know if you don't know, right? And so, things like that, don't ask for a refund.
Right, that's
don't
such a
ask
good
for
one.
a refund. We've already bought your shirt. We've already bought your finisher medal. We've calculated how much Powerade and Noon and water and we've already done all the math, and we've already purchased everything we have to purchase. And if you ask for a refund, we've already paid for it.
People just don't realize that. They're so there's this entitlement to well, now I'm not doing it, so I should get my money back.
Yeah, and I mean, we always try to put that all over everything. I'm sorry, no refunds. Right. Or no refunds beyond
pay the
this
extra
date.
money to protect your race, whatever they do there.
I guess the other thing is, if you sign up late, you're going to pay more. And I mean, I used to be, I don't know. I don't care. I mean, the bottom line is what we do is we figure out who entered the race, and then we add a certain percentage for all the people who sign up late. And when you sign up late, one of two things happens. Either, we're going to have a beautiful day outside, and you've just paid $10 more for the same shirt and finisher medal that person has, and you just paid $10 more for it, and we win. We made a few bucks off of you. But then the next year it's raining, and nobody shows up, and we've bought all this extra stuff for the people who sign up late, and now we eat it all, okay? And so, the one rainy year, it costs us any extra money that we might have made on the 5 beautiful years, we lose it all on the rainy year because we still buy extras for the people who sign up late, and then nobody signs up because it's rainy, and so we eat it. So it's like it all comes out in the wash.
Right.
And so if you want to sign up late, and I sign up late, okay? I'm not knocking people who sign up late.
I just signed up for the Indy Women's Half that's next weekend.
Yeah. So that's my point is I don't get frustrated with people who sign up late because that's fine, but don't complain that you're paying more.
Right.
Whenever I sign up late for a race, I might go, I think I'll do that race tomorrow. And it's going to cost me an extra $5 or $10, but
That's on me.
That's fine.
Yeah,
because I actually looked at the Muncie Endurathon this year. I think it's different now because it's Ironman branded. But I was actually, getting in shape for this bike ride, and my running and my swimming was really good shape. I'm like, I think I'm going to do Muncie. And I signed up, or I looked it was sold out. I'm like, oh, it's still a month away and it's sold out. Well, if we're allowing you to sign up late, sometimes it sells out, but if it doesn't sell out, that means we've bought extra.
Yeah.
And so if we don't, if we buy extra to let people sign up late, it's going to cost. Mm-hmm. So don't complain.
Right.
It's
so good for people to understand.
I don't want to say it's a pet peeve. It's a fact. And so I don't get emotional about saying, it's going to cost you more. And I don't feel bad about it because it's costing me more.
Right. It's just that's the way that it is.
Or we can buy less and we sell out, and that's fine too.
Right.
That's a lot easier for race organizations. If I was a race director and I knew that we're just going to cut off the Indy Half at 3,000 because we know we're going to have 3,000 people every year, and 500 people are going to be disappointed, but we're going to be set, and no one's going to have to pay extra and all that.
Yeah.
That's one way of doing it. Or we just say, no, if you want to sign up last minute, that's fine, and we're going to be able to accommodate you, but it's going to cost you more because next year I'm going to eat it.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's probably another big one.
I find that really interesting, and I hope that people listening are like, oh, I never really thought about it that way.
Yeah, we're not trying to turn the screw on you.
We really want to make $5 more.
Yeah,
it's going to change our organization.
Yeah, no,
but also for a lot of organizations who have missions too, a lot of that is going for a good cause too. So don't complain.
That too. And on the beautiful days, and we sell out all our extra, and we have very little stock left over. Yeah, we win. Yeah. And then next year when it's raining, we lose.
It's just how it goes.
So,
oh man.
Yeah.
Well, I love this year with Carmel canceling. I found that so interesting because people were so mean about it, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
I mean,
this cost them so much money and time. I mean.
Yeah, I felt so bad.
Anyway, I could go on a whole rant about that, but it was
so bad for them because
really rough.
that as a race director, they live well. Not the absolute worst thing that could happen, but as far as organizationally, having a storm hit hours before, wiping out your finish line, wiping out your race site, wiping out your course, and then the sun comes out. It was like, what was it?
Yeah.
The race was supposed to start. I don't know what time let's say the race was supposed to start at 7:30.
Yeah.
By 10 o'clock, it's sunny outside, and people are like, "Oh, I
could have done this.
They canceled the race." It's like it was what had happened. And the fact that 3 hours later it's sunny outside, it's too late, you know?
Yeah.
You can't pay 100 police officers to sit around all day hoping that by 10:30 the sun will come out and you can have the race. Yeah. And then you have no volunteers, your permits are expired.
People just don't get it.
You have 100 police officers that are going to be off duty at noon. They can't stick around till 4. There's just like 1,001 things that have to work perfectly to put on a race, and you can't just say, "Oh, we're going to delay it for 4 hours."
My best was people were like, "Oh, can we just do it tomorrow?" It was Easter Sunday the next day or something like that. I'm like, brilliant idea, Karen.
Yeah, right. And so you can maybe do it virtually and still get a shirt.
That's what they ended up saying. Hey, listen, we'll send you a medal. Do the race. If you want a medal, let us know.
Medal, shirts,
I mean, Jay and Katie drove around and delivered medals in by hand to save money because they had already spent.
Yeah, I mean,
my heart.
You've already rented the porta-johns. You've already rented the tents. You've already, they're not going to give you money back.
Right.
When they come out and deliver 150 porta-johns, you've paid for that.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah, I felt so bad for them.
Too.
And I mean, as a race director, I've been doing this for 30 years. People, generally after the race, people say, "How'd it go?" And my first comment is, nobody died, and the weather, we were able to have the race.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's like, we had, things were great, and we had a few things come up, but safety and weather are like the two things that, you
have to pray for those. I mean, you just got to pray for those.
Yeah, you got to pray for them, and they keep you up at night, and I've been doing this 30 years, and I still have my marathon dreams of race week, where things don't, something happens, there's a storm coming through, and I'm like, oh no. And then I wake up in a cold sweat and go, thank goodness, this is only a dream.
Goodness, it's a dream. I have I'm late to getting to the start. That's mine all the time.
I have that too.
Yeah.
I wake up and it's like 9 o'clock. I'm like, wait a second. Today's marathon day and the race started at 8.
And you're just
oh,
like,
no.
It's the worst feeling.
Yeah, it's
so
like the dream within a dream.
Yes,
I
exactly.
I have those too.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay, so end of the podcast questions for you. There are two. But the first is, what is your favorite running mantra and or song?
Okay. Yeah, I saw that question, so I'm ready to answer this because I really do have one. And it's weird. It's not weird. It's just, I'll explain it. Can I have time to explain it?
Absolutely. I will allow it.
Okay. So I told you in 1984, I did my first triathlon. And it was a sprint. It was super short, half-mile swim, 12-mile bike, 3-mile run. So it was really short. And but I loved it. And I'm like, and then I did that 4-mile road race and when I went back to college in November. And so I'm like, this is my thing, I'm gonna do triathlons. And so of course I don't work out. I've never been a year-round workout all year round. I just, I kind of get in shape in the summer, and then, I'm in terrible shape, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. And so I remember I was 19 or 20. It was 1985. It was January of 1985. I'm home from college for winter break. It's like January 3rd, and it's like, all right, this is the year. I'm going to go do triathlons. And so I went out for a run, and I was just all excited, And I literally got to the bottom of my driveway, went 2 blocks, and there was this hill in my neighborhood, and I'm just dead. I'm dead. I'm just I haven't gone a quarter of a mile, and I'm walking. And I almost turned around and walked home. I almost thought, what am I doing? This is awful. I'm not a runner. I'm not a triathlete. I'm not, this is, but I'm jogging along, and then I'm just, that was back in the days where you had those big headphones back in the 80s,
Those are coming back though. Now you see people on the Monon with these big ass headphones.
Oh yeah, those are the silent.
Yeah, I don't know why they do that. The noise canceling. Which is super unsafe, people.
Yeah, but anyway, so I had my big headphones on, and I'm listening to the radio, and I literally, I'm just I'm just so disappointed, I don't want to be doing this. This isn't fun. I can't even, I'm walking. And then Dire Straits, The Walk of Life. I don't know if you've ever even heard that song. It's just a very upbeat, it just has this really good tempo to it. And this song comes on, and I'm just getting motivated by this music. And so I start, shuffling, and then I start running, and then I'm here I go, And so it was, I don't know, I guess I just had to get through that starting a run, kind of get the body warmed up. But the next thing I know, I'm not going fast, but I'm jogging along, and I did this 3-mile run, which is no big deal. But thinking that I was literally going to turn around and walk home after a quarter of a mile, and then fighting through it and ending up doing a 3-mile run, I was like, okay, I can do this. I'm in bad shape. I acknowledge, and I understand now, but I don't want to quit. I want to keep going. I want to finish this run, and then I want to get in better shape, and I want to be ready to do a triathlon come May.
Yeah.
And it was just all of these crazy swings of mood, and what I want to do, what I don't want to do. This isn't fun. Well, it's not fun because it's my lack of training and my lack of fitness, and so it's I worked through all this crazy stuff in my mind in 3 minutes.
Yeah. We've all been, I think most people
Yeah. And so
relate.
I will never forget that moment where I was kind of I could have gone either way. And if I would have turned around and walked home, I probably would have just been I don't want to do that, you know, and I didn't. And so that's been whenever that song comes on, it's I feel like running a marathon or something.
Okay. I'll have to listen to it. I'm excited
it's
to hear.
Walk of Life by Dire Straits,
okay,
which is a group back in the 80s.
Dire Straits sounds relatable too for a marathon. You're a lot of times you probably feel like you're in Dire Straits.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the next one is your next finish line or milestone.
Okay, well, I just told you, I just finished my 2025 one, which was the Ohio to Erie 320-mile bike ride, which was a lot of fun. I actually had 2 this year because in training for that one, my last Ironman was in 2007.
Okay.
I was 42 years old. That was 18 years ago. Since then, I've had a lot of running injuries. So it's I can't just go run like I used to. Okay, that's fine. What do you call an old runner? A cyclist, you know? So
I've never heard that, actually.
Yeah.
That's
So I always loved riding my bike, but I ride all the time. I run. Right now I've had a really good year where my running has been like generally I can go out for 3 6-mile runs a week. Like Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, I run 6 miles, and sometimes on Sunday I'll get it up to 7 or 8. But that's as much as I've done in 10 years without getting hurt. And I'm running really slow. But it's like I just love the fact that I'm there and not getting injured this whole year, which is the first year I haven't had a running injury in probably 10 years. So anyway, all that said is my swimming has been going great just for fitness. My biking has been going great. I'm up to almost 20 miles a week on running. So I decided I'm going to go swim 2.4 miles at the Y, and I get out and I'm going to jump on my bike, and it was like right in the middle of all these 90, all summer it's been so hot, and it was like overcast. It was like a month ago, it was like overcast, and I took off on my bike and it was actually raining. I'm like, no, this is good. And so I rode 112 miles. I'm like, oh, what the heck? And so I started jogging. I put on my adventure racing like streamlined backpack with my Camelback, filled it up with ice water. By now, the sun had come up, and it was like getting into the 80s and 90s, but it was like, oh, well. And so I walked about 19 miles until I was done. I'm like, okay, I'm done, but I'm going to go another 7. And so I literally did a Ironman workout about a month ago. And so
that is nuts, Joel. What in the world?
I was so excited because it had been 18 years and it wasn't a race. You know,
right,
it's easy to do it on your own.
Yeah.
I'm like riding my bike, and every 2 hours I'm stopping at a gas station and buying Gatorade and eating power bars. And I stopped at Hardee's and I ate a chicken sandwich for lunch. So it wasn't a race, but it was. I did the miles, You
did the miles.
I did the miles.
I mean, now are you like thinking in the back of your mind, well, like when I'm gonna sign
course.
up? Yeah,
Yeah. And then there's this book called Iron Will. It was the first kind of book on the history of the Ironman. It came out after the 1986 season, and my first Ironman was in '88.
Yeah,
I actually did Hawaii. I did the Hawaiian Ironman twice, the big one,
cool.
The real one.
I mean,
not that they're not all real, but the Hawaiian Ironman. So I did it in '88. So I bought this book. And I just, again, it was kind of like when I did Boston. I just read all the details, every race, and this is where this happened. And I just got out there, and I was just like giddy. I was 23, and I'm riding on what's called the Queen K Highway. That's where most of the bike is. And I'm just like, I can't believe I'm here, And I did it, and I finished. My goal is just to finish, just cross the finish line. And so I did it in like '88, and then I went back in '91. But anyway, I did this little Ironman training workout. Didn't even know I was going to do it until I got off the bike, and I was like, "Wow, I'm feeling good." I
cannot.
I think I'm
going
to go. And it wasn't really a marathon. It was more what I said earlier was more of a trek.
Still, you covered the distance. It doesn't matter.
I covered the 26.2. But yeah, so that was crazy. But it's like, okay, I'm 60, and I just did that. So that was people do Ironmans into their 70s, but. Yeah, that was pretty fun. I got home at 12:30 at night. My wife was already in bed.
She's like, I don't know what Joel's doing, but
and she's just like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
She goes, "Are you training for an Ironman?" I said, "Well, no, I think I'm in the middle of one because I got back from my bike ride and I started putting on my and that's when I decided to do it. I didn't decide to do it until I was 100 miles into the bike going, it's been cloudy the whole day. I've been riding in 90-degree heat, and it's been brutal, and now I'm feeling really good. I'm 100 miles into this bike ride, and I'm feeling really good. Maybe. And so I get home, I change into my running shorts, and she's like, in my running shoes, and she's like, "Are you training for an Ironman?" I said, "No, I think I'm in the middle of one." I said, "Don't wait up." And so I took off, and 6.5 hours later, I come stumbling home.
Oh my gosh, that is just.
But that included going to Culver's twice to fill up my Camelback full of ice water, and then first time I bought a chicken sandwich, and I walked for about a mile eating that, and then at 19 miles. I was so happy that Culver's was still open at 10:30 at night, and I swung by there on my way back, got a cheeseburger this time.
Oh, yeah, yes.
And that's when I knew, because it was like right when I was like, okay, I'm done. I can't do any more jogging. This is going to be a 7-mile walk home. So
yeah,
I walked 7 miles eating a cheeseburger, and I had a medium Oreo.
Yes. What do they call it?
Concrete mixer.
Yeah. I just had a milkshake from Culver's the other day.
So that was probably the only thing I did wrong, was I ordered a medium instead of a large.
There you go. Yeah.
I wish I would have gotten a large.
They're so good.
But so I'm literally walking, eating a Culver's with a adventure race thing. I'm like, somebody's gonna call the police on me.
Be like, what is this man doing? It's like almost midnight.
Yeah,
it's like, what is he doing?
Yeah.
You're like, don't mind me.
Don't mind me.
The workers at Culver's are just like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, they were like getting ready to close.
Yeah.
But, so
like,
it was.
Please.
It was so funny, but I was like,
that's wild.
It wasn't a race, but it was satisfying.
Yeah, man, wow. Oh, and now a big milestone on October 4th, the 30th.
30th,
running.
Can't believe, like I said, 30th year, 60 years old. So I'm excited about that. It's going to be, like I said, it's going to be back to the big party tent with the cookout, and
can't wait.
Hopefully it's not a rainy day, and hopefully. Right. I mean, if it is, they're going to be under a tent, right?
Right.
But hopefully it's just one of those beautiful fall days where people just stick around, don't want to leave.
Amen. And if not, like, just bring a poncho, people.
Yeah, bring a poncho.
Let's hang out. Who cares? Yeah. It's rain. We can do this. We're endurance athletes.
And we'll have the bonfires going.
Yes, it's going to be so much fun. I cannot wait.
The straw bales to sit on, the food to eat, and Mm-hmm. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. Hard to believe, 30 years.
So cool. Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. I mean, that's huge. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's been fun.
Well, and thank you for doing this. Your first podcast.
Yeah.
Check that off the list.
I was a little bit nervous, but man, you just make me talk about myself all day.
It's like, well.
This was pretty easy.
Well, and thank you to everybody who's listened, and happy running.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me. I had a lot of fun.
Me too. I could talk to you all. If you enjoyed this episode of Finish Lines and Milestones from Sandy Boy Productions, please share it with a friend, rate, review. That's the best way to tell people about the show, and I truly appreciate it so much. You can also share any of your thoughts and feedback with me. I'm Allie T. Brett, ALLYTBRETT_runs on Instagram. So let's be friends there. And remember, share all of your good news with me or other good news that you see, because I want to continue to share it with everyone else so we can be happier. All right, well, I will talk to you next week. Bye.